Hello, Packers fans, wherever you may be. It's time for another edition of the Pack Attack Cast for August 19th, 2025. We are getting very close to the start of the regular season. Wouldn't you know it is right around the corner. And if you haven't already done so, please give us a like and subscribe to this video. We've actually gotten over 8,200 subs in the first 4 months of this channel. Can we get to 9,000 by the start of the season? My original hope was to get to 5,000 by the start of the season, but can we get to 9,000 by the start of the season? If you have not subscribed yet, you can do it by subscribing to this channel and helping us get to that 9,000 numbers before the Week 1 game against the Green Bay Packers. Very exciting to give you some news and notes from team practice today. We also got some updates on some injuries, so let's go through those right now. Regarding Brandon Sorrell, apparently, according to Rob Demnowski of ESPN, Baron Sorrell has an MCL sprain, which wouldn't keep him out for more than a few weeks. So there's still the possibility that Brandon might make it for Week 1. However, if there's any doubt about that, the Packers can actually put him on the injured list with a designation to return. The Packers are allowed to add 2 players to that list and bring them back into the season, but then they have to miss the first 4 weeks. My guess would be if they think Sorrell can make it by Week 1 or Week 2, they'll keep him on the active roster. That makes a lot of sense because I don't think the Packers want to lose Sorrell for the first 4 weeks plus because they have a bye week and then you have to make sure he's ready to play. So, in my opinion, if Sorrell thinks he can be back by Week 2 at the latest, then I think the Green Bay Packers will keep him on the active roster, not put him on IR with the designation to return. So that's great news that Sorrell has an MCL sprain. It's something that you don't have to do a procedure on. You basically just have to let the leg rest and do rehab activities to get the knee up to its original strength. So that's good news for Brandon Sorrell. We've been waiting for quite a while to get an update on his clarification. Jordan Love. Jordan Love was there today in practice for the second day of practice after he had a surgery on his left thumb ligament right here. And that's a great sign for him to be ready in plenty of time for week number 1. According to Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love will be limited in Green Bay's joint practice Thursday with the Seahawks. Coach LaFleur stated that Love will participate on 7-7 drills against the Seahawks, but it doesn't appear he'll go through team periods or the preseason finale against the Seahawks. This makes a lot of sense in the world, all the sense in the world, and the truth of the matter is this is the best case scenario for Jordan Love. Jordan Love is going to get some practice on Thursday against the Seahawks. It's going to be 7-on-7 drills. So there's not going to be an offensive line or a defensive line to risk hitting that thumb on a helmet. So while it continues to heal. So Jordan Love is still going to get practice time against the Seahawks. All systems are go for him being ready for week number 1. I saw plenty of clips the last 2 days in camp. He's running with the same enthusiasm he has before. All of his movements in the pocket look just like they were before the injury. I'm not worried about Jordan Love not being 100% before week 1. And if you look at the point spreads in the game for week 1, it continues to stay at Packers -1.5. It's been that way since well before the start of camp. So the odds makers feel like Jordan Love is going to be playing week 1. So much to do about nothing there. He'll get a week of practice this week. He'll get practice next week, and then they'll be ready for week 1 against the Lions. So he's going to get 2 full weeks of practice with the team. They're probably going to limit it to 7-on-7 drills. I would imagine at least the week before the game against the Lions, they get him in true team activities after his thumb has had a couple weeks to heal. Although they're still going to have him with the red jersey on, so he's still going to avoid contact. But it's good for Jordan Love to see the pass rush because it helps his brain get ready for week 1. So don't be surprised if next week in closed practices he ends up being active in full team drills. I think he'll be ready to go. Safety Omar Brown is still in Indianapolis after he's carted off the field with a lung injury, but Matt LaFleur said he's getting better. This is going to be interesting to see with Omar Brown. Omar Brown might end up getting one of those IR with the designation to return. So if the Packers keep Sorrell on the active roster, they will still have another opportunity to put a player on the injured list with a designation to return. So Omar Brown might end up being one of those players that they do that with. They can kind of stash him on IR and see if he's going to be an impact player through the regular season. Or they can waive him, see if he gets through waivers, and put him on the practice squad while he recovers. It's an interesting thing because I feel like the coaching staff, especially Matt LaFleur, has a lot of interest in Omar Brown as a person and as a player. If you listen to Matt LaFleur, he talks about how Omar Brown has a lot of heart. He was able to stay on the field despite having a lung issue for 12 minutes before he left the field. So those things tell me that Omar Brown has a place on this team, either on the active roster, maybe not, maybe on the IR with the designation to return, and then also an option as the practice squad. Omar Brown has played really well, and I think the Packers want to keep him with the organization some way. In fact, you could argue that putting Omar Brown on waivers while he's injured will increase the chances he'll get back to the practice squad, now that I think about it. So let's talk about practice notes for August 19th. Returning to practice, Lucas Van Ness, who had a back injury, and Kenny Clark, who had a back injury. Great news for them. I would really love to see Lucas Van Ness, if his back is healthy enough, get some reps against the Seahawks. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think it would be really great for Lucas Van Ness. If Lucas Van Ness gets no reps, it only cements further the fact that he's a starter at defensive end, which I think is pretty much the case at this point. He's had a breakout training camp, and I would love Lucas Van Ness to have a huge week 1 game against the Lions. That would be huge. I would love to see it. That could be an X factor that the Lions are not really anticipating. Out for this game, for this practice, Jaden Reed, foot injury. Donatavian Wicks, calf injury. Nate Hobbs, knee injury. Xavier McKinney, calf. Marshawn Lloyd, hamstring. Now, we did get an update on Marshawn Lloyd that he might not be ready to play week 1. So that's another player that might end up with that designation of injured reserve with a designation to return. So if Marshawn Lloyd does that, he'll be missing the first 4 weeks of the season. I don't love that. I hope he can be healthy for the game against the Lions, because I think he could be an X factor in that game. But we'll just have to see how things go the next 2 weeks. Zane Anderson is out with a knee injury. Omar Brown with the chest contusion, which we already talked about. Jacob Monk with a hamstring. Aaron Banks with a back injury. Savion Williams with a hamstring. And Barron Sorrell with that knee injury, which we already gave you an update on. On PUP, Christian Watson, Colin Oliver, and John Williams. So the fact that these players are actually listed on the PUP at this point tells me Christian Watson is expected to come back mid-September, actually most likely early October. Colin Oliver, I don't know if he's going to see any playing time this year. We're going to have to see. And John Williams, I think, is very unlikely to see any playing time this year. So we're going to have to see how those player injuries shape up. But let's talk about some offensive line updates that we got today. Offensive line, Rasheed Walker was back in practice. He took some time off due to a back injury. And apparently Rasheed Walker struggled while Jordan Morgan wins his matchup on the offensive line. This is from Tom Silverstein. And I should mention, I want to thank all of the people that are beat writers and are giving us this information at these practices. It's so extremely helpful. So it's Tom Silverstein posted, on one-on-one pass drills, left tackle Rasheed Walker struggled. He lost back-to-back reps against Kinsley Inigbare, both times letting Inigbare get his hands on him and throw him aside. Walker has some work to do to get back in the groove after his time with a groin injury. Okay? Jordan Morgan, who's competing with Walker, is playing at left guard for the second straight day because Aaron Banks was out. Jordan Morgan won both reps against Carl Brooks. These are just one-on-one drills. Anthony Belton and Brenton Cox have a stalemate on one-on-one drills in their only pass rush snap. Belton's looking to improve. So I talked about it before. I was as frustrated as everybody else was about Anthony Belton's performance against the Colts. 5 penalties in one half of a game is unconscionable. If this was a regular season game, Anthony Belton would have been benched probably after 4 in one half. But they let him play it out. And after talking to Matt LaFleur in a very colorful conversation, let's put it that way, and also talking to the other offensive line members, some of the offensive line apparently pulled Belton aside, told him to shake it off, and focus on the second half. And in the second half, Anthony Belton played much better. He actually was a key blocker in one of the touchdown runs in the second half. So Anthony Belton is looking to shake this off. He's going to have some reps in the final preseason game. Hopefully he could continue to show improvement. He's a developmental player, and barring significant injuries, I don't know if Belton's going to be playing that much this year. Let's look at the offense. Jordan Love looks sharp on 7-on-7 drills with one long bomb to Romeo Doubs. This was again posted by Tom Silverstein. Jordan Love had sharp 7-on-7 third round period, and there was no pass rush on the drill. He picked apart the defense with numerous shots down the middle of the field. He had 10 completions on his 12 throws. Now that's to be expected because, again, there's no pass rush here. So the Packers defense is designed around a weak link system, okay? And especially with all the injuries right now, the secondary is a weakness for the Green Bay Packers. I think this is going to improve by week 1 once we have everybody come back from injury. But right now it's a weak link system. So when there's no pass rush, it's only a matter of time before the quality receivers that the Packers have get free and make a big play. So the fact that Jordan Love was 10 of 12 completions isn't really an indictment of the secondary. Some people might say, oh, the secondary's playing horrible. No, with no pass rush, any secondary is going to fail eventually because there's no pass rush and the receivers have all the initiative. It's kind of like when you look at the tape of the one-on-one drills, DB versus receiver. eventually the receiver is going to find a way to get open because they have all the advantages against the cornerback. It's the same way in 7-on-7 drills. So don't let that make you feel worried about the secondary. Number one, we have players out. Number two, with no pass rush, I would expect Jordan Love to have so many completions. The drill ended with a 74-yard bomb to Romeo Doubs, who had run past Carrington Valentine. So again, that's a classic situation where Carrington Valentine is a very good physical cornerback, but he's not a long distance speed cornerback. So he likes to get physical at the line of scrimmage and hold back the receiver, and eventually the receiver is going to bust open and make a big play, just like Romeo Doubs did in this rep. The lone incompletion in the series was a drop over the middle by Hardman. Again, not a good sign that Hardman is going to make this roster. There was also a defensive pass interference by Keyshawn Nixon versus Romeo Doubs. And this is one of the funniest things I saw today. Brandon McManus was working as a side judge today, and he threw the flag against Nixon. So I think that's hilarious that Brandon McManus took the day off from kicking to be a ref. I think that's hilarious. So overall, Jordan Love threw some dimes in this practice. Okay, and let's look at some reps with the second team offense. We'll call it that. Malik Willis throws a bomb to Matthew Golden, who cooked Keyshawn Nixon and Evan Williams for a 53-yard touchdown. The most impressive parts of Willis' connection is that Willis led Matthew Golden so he could use his speed to make the big play. And that's something that is really a big X factor for Matthew Golden. So, and I've heard multiple people say this, if you look at Matthew Golden's tape from 2024, you didn't see a lot of speed. And a lot of that was because his quarterback was so bad at Texas. He was just not able to take full advantage of Matthew Golden's speed. So to really look at Matthew Golden's speed, you either have to look at tape from training camp, and I've looked at a lot of it, or you can look at his tape from Houston before he transferred to Texas, and he was running down the field on a consistent basis at Houston. So really good ability to see Golden use his 4.3 speed. And if Jordan Love can consistently lead Matthew Golden down the ball, just like he does successfully with Watson, there could be all kinds of big plays in this offense. Because one of the things that you can see in the 2023 tape that was missing in the 2024 tape was big plays. And that was a combination of Matthew Golden being hurt in 2024 and the receivers really not playing up to their skill level and the quarterback losing their faith in the receivers because of all the drops. The Green Bay Packers have the ability to take the lid off the defense consistently with Matthew Golden and when Watson comes back. They're going to have two speed receivers that could take the lid off of the defense any play. And I think that's very exciting for the Green Bay Packers this season. Let's see. Other notes here. So this is a note that I found that was very interesting that I want to bring up. After practice, Jordan Love was throwing with Jaden Reed and Donatavian Wicks. They were not running routes because they're recovering, but what they would do is they would line up at distances where Love would have to put the ball if they were running routes. So this is Jordan Love taking leadership and saying, Jaden Reed, Donatavian Wicks, we need to get some time outside of practice, and we're going to have you throw. I'm going to throw to you while you're standing in place so you don't injure yourselves. but we can get some practice in. I thought that was a really big note from today. Reed and Wicks did not participate in practice, but they were able to practice again with Jordan Love after practice without running routes. So that's a really good thing to see. So that's all of our news and notes for today. Very excited to see players coming back from injury. We got some updates on some significant injuries, some good, some bad. But I feel like the health of this team is starting to improve slowly. And if we could get to the point where we have 2.5 weeks before week 1, if we can use that time to get this roster healthy, I think the Gray Packers are going to do just fine week 1 against the Lions. So we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I want to take a look at my updated projected roster. I'm going to make some significant changes to that. And also, I want to take a look at some questions that I've gotten from you. One of the great things about my stream is I really like to encourage interaction. So I've actually gotten a number of questions sent to our inbox. You can email us at packattackcast, just like the title of the stream, at gmail.com. So packattackcast@gmail.com. Send us messages there. We'll select a few of them each week, starting now through the regular season, and we'll do a question segment whenever we can fit it in. The Packers don't have practice tomorrow, so it's a good opportunity for us to, number one, update our roster prediction, and number two, take a look at some questions from you. So you still have some time. Put in some questions at packattackcast and try to make them timely for the week that you're submitting them, and then hopefully I can use them, or I can use them in a future week. For example, since we don't have games for 2 weeks, I can use preseason questions throughout the next couple weeks. So look forward to that, and as always, go Pack Go, and we'll see you tomorrow with another update on your Green Bay Packers. Talk to you then.